Hey guys, welcome back. This week's message is inspired by what happened in Florida last week with that school shooting, and I thought it was very timely and very important to talk about senses of isolation, senses of being alone, and how they are so deeply important to us, whether we remedy them or punish those who we feel caused it, and just kind of where that comes about, why isolation and why loneliness and why being alone are such driving forces in our lives, um, and to explore just kind of where that comes from and different routes through them, I guess, maybe. Um, I think it's important to know that I'm still only 26. This isn't by any means the absolute answer. It's just kind of the compilation of a lot of different studies and a lot of different teachings that myself have been through, both personally and just intellectually. And I just think that it's important to know that to be alone or to sense that you're alone is a very natural thing. It's a very deep thing, and it does cause us to do dramatic things. Um, Especially when we start to see other people as the cause of our isolation, which I can just tell that this individual did feel. It doesn't justify the actions taken, but I know that every one of us experiences loneliness and isolation in our own lives and in our own ways. And speaking personally, it does cause us to do things that looking back on we're not proud of, or that we see are not our best selves. And so, just to give a little bit of context, we're going to hit two main points. We're going to speak individually, and then we're going to speak culturally. So on an individual level, and this is going to hang around mostly in psychology, um, with spirituality thrown in there too, but from the moment that we're born onto this earth, actually before that, from the moment we're conceived, from the moment of conception, our lives are dependent upon other people. We're depending on two people getting together for our physical bodies to even exist. And from the moment that we're born, we're dependent on other people to sustain our lives. It is naturally, even just biologically, super important to us to have other people around. We can't live. We can't do it. We literally, physically cannot exist on this planet without other people being present. And as we evolve and as we grow up as a person, that biological need evolves as we evolve. And it goes from a physical support from other people to an emotional support or a mental support, a growth support. We become dependent on other people to nourish and teach us about our emotional lives and our mental lives and our moral lives, our ethical selves. And we really gain a map of this world from other people, as we're growing up. And they they say that at a certain point, we take the reins back and we reassimilate and visit most of what we've learned so far, and we continue to make changes and tweak it as we continue to grow. But it is very biologically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually deeply ingrained in us that other people are important to us. It's not something that you can just brush off. Even people who say, oh, their opinions don't matter, oh, what they think doesn't matter to me anymore. That's because you've gotten to a space where you can take your reins back. But even those people are drawn to others. To be alone is our biggest form of punishment. Solitary confinement is the quote unquote worst thing that you can encounter as a human being, other than whatever torture methods that people are still seeming to believe are suitable. But solitary confinement is for the worst of the worst. To be alone is the worst punishment that we can come up with as a human race. And so that speaks very loudly to this deep, deep understanding that humans are social creatures. Even if we look at it evolutionarily, humans cannot live on this planet without each other. We don't have a lot of hair, we don't have claws, we don't have teeth. We cannot live on this planet without other people. and without our ideas being able to blend, and without the constant growth that relationships introduce into our lives, we wouldn't be here without each other. And I just think that it's really important to remember that when you're feeling lonely, and when you're feeling isolated, or when you're feeling drawn to other people, that is so unbelievably natural to us, to both pursue love, to pursue acceptance, to pursue a group, and to avoid feelings that we're no longer wanted. You can really boil down most of our survival actions into, is this going to keep me in a group, or is this going to exclude me from a group? Think of the things we do when relationships go sour. Most of our actions are centered around avoiding conflict, or avoiding drama, or avoiding feeling small, because we don't want to be excluded. We don't want to be alone. And most of our personal growth is centered around this. It is centered around the importance of authenticity, and creating and maintaining groups based off of our authenticity, rather than just having a group for the sake of having a group. You know, we can look at gangs, we can look at religious groups, we can look at family dynamics, we can look at, race issues, or even just like the human race as a whole. Like, there's a very deep draw to be included and to be a part of something. And when an individual doesn't feel that way, when an individual feels ostracized, is when dramatic things happen, whether it's manipulation, or murder, or self-isolation and giving in, and really just going down that path and cutting people out. It's a very real thing. It's a very real thing, and it's not something to just brush off. This feeling of, oh, they felt alone and then they were this dramatic. Like, no. A sense of aloneness is a very real issue. It's a very real topic. It's a very real thing. And not just on an individual level, but on a cultural level, because we as a culture push individuality. We push a sense of self. We push a sense of just you against the world. And if someone takes that message and internalizes it deeply and feels that the world is against them, then it literally becomes them against the world. And you get vendetta, and you get anger, and you get resentment, and you get victimhood, and you get a war between a person and the rest of the world. And what's a bummer is that is genuinely a culturally shared idea, that it is up to you. And so we end up living in this contradiction where everything inside your body, your emotions, your mind, and your spirit tell you that you need to be unified with the world around you. And we have a culture that says you better put yourself above it, otherwise they're going to put you below. And we can't live in this paradox for any longer. It's evident. It's showing itself. It's showing that cases of isolation and of hatred. If you are outside of my group, then I hate you. That's our effing issue right now as a culture, is that we don't know how to extend ourselves into other worlds. We don't know how to see that it's all valid, and that we can accept other groups and we can be accepted by other groups. We don't see it. We're too fixated on filling those primal needs of belonging. Well, I can stick with my race, or I can stick with my family, or I can stick with my religion, or and that satisfies that very primal need to feel belonged, but it runs into limitations when your group butts up against another group, and now we got a war, another war. And it's all based because we don't know how to handle it. It's scary. It's a base fear, like a base bottom of the totem pole. Everything else is built off of this sensation of feeling belonging. And if what you found as a remedy doesn't work for other people, that's threatening. Because what if what you believe is wrong? What if what you believe isn't the whole truth? Then where are you? And so I know I'm bouncing around to a lot of different points, but I'm trying to make it holographically, like a whole picture as to how this is important to address. How feeling alone isn't something to scoff at or to be ashamed of or afraid of having. You know, speaking from personal experience, when I feel alone, I have gratefully beautiful people around me that can remind me that that's not the case. But there's people that don't have that. There's people that feel alone and don't have the people to remind them of that. And so I guess a question to ask yourself is, can you let other people into your world that maybe traditionally wouldn't fit into what you believe it to be? Can you accept the outsider? Can you show compassion for them? Or do you just say, oh, they'll find it one day. I got to worry about me and mine. Because at the end of it, we're all each other's. You know, every great prophet from every great religion, the Messiah, even, like they said that we are here together. We are here together. Whether we like it or not, there are 7 billion different versions of reality here. And some of them are a lot more painful than yours, and some of them have it very easy compared to yours. But there are 7 billion people here that are looking for home, that are looking for relationships, that are looking to be accepted. And if you don't feel accepted, we see people do crazy things. And I'm not saying that all of this is on our shoulders, but it is on your shoulders. How many people you let be touched by your love or your acceptance or your compassion is completely up to you. And there's no one that's going to take your place. You might be the saving grace of somebody, and I mean that very literally. You might be the instrument of grace to a person. Where if you don't show up, if you're afraid or you're intimidated or you don't agree with them, and so you withhold that grace, that might be the changing course of their whole life, of their whole world. And you know what? Yes, it is a mental health issue, because our mental health is very important. It's what keeps us functioning. And mental health is very deeply rooted in a sense of belonging, in a sense of purpose, in a sense of community. And if you have the ability to extend any of those to somebody, please do it. I mean, there's some weird people out there, but even the weirdest of us need some compassion and just an attempt at understanding or holding, you know. I don't believe that anybody's broken, but I believe that they can do things that break us. You know, just like someone could do something to them that broke them. But I don't believe anyone's beyond repair. And I know that you and I and we have the capacity to remind people of that. That no matter what you've done, no matter what you felt, no matter what's happened to you, that you are not beyond the reaches of love, the reaches of acceptance, and the reaches of community. And for someone to feel that way, to feel that they are all the way cut off, you're gonna find people doing crazy things, both loud and sometimes quiet, but dramatic and crazy things. And so my wish for us this week is to know that you are an instrument of grace. And that when it comes down to it, people are either looking for love and acceptance, or they're running away from the feeling that they might not get it, or they're taking vengeance on those who they believe made them not able to feel it. And so you have the capacity to change that. You have the capacity to look at a person and say hello, and to ask, how are you? And to extend yourself to them. Because, I mean, we're all feeling a lot of things these days. And if you have the ability to make someone feel okay for a moment, please take that chance. Please take that chance. All right, guys, I love you very, very, very much. Good night.